Good morning, everyone. Myself, Vivek Bangale, Assistant Professor, Department of ISC, Taiwan Institute of Technology, Rajankonte, Bengaluru. Yeah, in previous video, we have discussed on the model 2 concepts. That is how the relation model will be, and some introduction part of the relation model concepts. And what is domain, what is attribute, and what is tuple, and the relation between the entities or the relation between the tables. All those things we have discussed in the last video. Today we're going to start with the second concept, which is characteristics of relationship. So there are mainly four characteristics of relationship. One is ordering of tuple in relation, ordering of values within a tuple, and alternate definition of a relation, values and null in the tuple, last one is interpretation of a relation. So what is the relationship here? What is the characteristic of relationship means? While creating the table or while inserting the values into the table, do we need to follow some of the rules? Do we need to follow some of the measures while inserting any of the values? So we're going to see one by one. One is ordering of tuples in relation. So relation, as I said, that whatever the values or whatever the database we're creating in the DBMS, that is of our DBMS, it will be in the terms of rows and columns. So nothing but a relation is defined as a set of tuples. So for example, if we're taking a student entity, a student table, there we have a number of attributes, like student ID, student name, then address, phone number. So we're going to give the values for each attribute. So that becomes a set of tuples. A set of tuples. So set of tuples is important in set. There is no order. In set there is no order. For example, there is no rules that the first attribute should be student ID only. The second attribute should be student name only. First we can give student name attribute. Then the second we can give student ID. So there is no what sequence of giving a tuple, sequence of giving an attribute in a relation. So we can randomly give the attributes to the relation, to the entity. Only one thing is that whatever the attribute we are assigning to that table, it should be relevant to that table. In example, for student table, we can't add vehicle ID, right? So this is that is inappropriate. To it is not related to that student entity. So whatever the attributes we are assigning to the relation to the table, it should be a appropriate one. There is no ordering of tuple, ordering of attribute. So first characteristic is that so there is no ordering of tuple in a relation. So we can give any attribute in any manner while creating the table. First, we can use the student ID or we can use the student name. There is no rule that we have to specify the student ID only the first attribute to the table student. There is no rule. It is what the first case is. Second is ordering of values within a tuple and an alternative definition of a relation. Ordering of values in a tuple. As I said, in first cat 6 there is no rule that we have to give the attribute in this order in this manner only. So if the attribute is in a different manner, so according to the attribute we are specifying, we are inserting the values to the table. So if ordering of tuple relation is not in a sequence manner, means there is no need of giving a ordering of values within a tuple in a sequence manner. And the alternative definition of a relation. Alternative definition means, for example, we can assign the values in many ways to the table. For example, inserting any values to the table like student table. So insert into student values followed with the attribute value, data type, and the constraint. Or we can give instead of giving like that, like we can club each values in a single notation. Then we can assign the values. There is an alternative definition of creating the relation in the tuple. The third cat 6 is that values and nulls in the tuple. Values and nulls in the tuple. For example, see what values and nulls in the tuple means. Each value in a tuple is an atomic value. Right. So whatever the values we are giving to the attribute, student ID 1, next is next tuple ID 2, 3, 4. These values, whatever you are giving to the table, to the relation, it should be a atomic value. If it is, that is, it is not possible to divisible into components. Hence, the composite and multiple attributes are not allowed. Composite and multiple attributes are not allowed while inserting the values to the table. If this allowed means that type of model, we say it as a flat relation model. So multiple attributes, as we discussed in the types of multiple attributes, it contains the more than one values to the table. So if the table is having more than one value for a specific attribute, so we need to perform some other operation to the table so that that attribute should not contain a multiple value, right? So the third next is that an important concept in the relation is null values. So in previous videos we have discussed on null values that if you are trying to fill a null value to any of the attribute means it should have a different meaning. Means that attribute should not have a value. That value is not related to that attribute only. So there we're going to place a null value. Second, we know the value, but at that time we don't want to put that value to that attribute. So later on, if you want, we can remove that null value. We can place the new value to that table. The third one, we know the value. Values does not exist only. The third one is values does not exist only. So these are three main criteria where we can place a value, null value in a particular attribute or in a particular relation. So it's an important concept is that of null value, which is are used to represent the values of attribute that may be unknown or may not apply to a tuple. That special value we're going to place in a tuple is written as a null value. One best example is some student tuple have null for their home phone number, right? So each and every student doesn't have a home phone number. So landline is not there. Landline will be not there for each student. So there we can place it a null value. That is what a null value means. The last one is the interpretation, meaning of relation. So whatever the value or whatever the attribute we are giving to the any of the relation, it should have some meaning. For example, I am creating the student table and giving some of the attribute to the student like student ID, student name, address, phone number. So how we can interpret to that relation student? So student ID is 1, the student name is Ram, his address is in Bangalore, then his phone number is XYZ. So this is how, if we see the table, we can easily identify, we can easily interpret, we can easily identify what values and what the table is displaying. So whatever the values we are creating, whatever the attributes we are creating to that student, to that particular attribute, it should have some meaning. It should have some meaning. So these are some of the characteristics we need to follow while creating any of the database. So thank